Hello, it's Victoria Stakelum here with this week's Career Power Tuesday tips. And the topic I'd like to talk about today is when you find yourself in career deja vu. Do you ever find yourself in a loop where, in spite of having changed jobs, perhaps because you felt unhappy in your previous job, you somehow find the same things are happening to you again? Maybe it's that difficult boss that seems to niggle at you. Maybe it's finding yourself bored and frustrated or resentful, feeling overlooked and undervalued. Perhaps it's a particular type of interaction with a type of project or a colleague that seems to keep playing out. So in spite of taking the initiative to change your environment, to change the situation you find yourself in, somehow the same loop seems to keep playing. And in a professional context, that's likely to be quite a long-term loop. It might run for a year or two, leading to you to change jobs. And then after 6 months, a year, 18 months, you find yourself back in an unnervingly familiar place. If that is you, and by the way, these loops can play out professionally, they can also play out in relationships. So this might be something that resonates with you professionally. It might be something that resonates with you personally. If this is you, there is something that you're not seeing within yourself. You have a blind spot. There's something in the choices you are making and the way you are showing up that is helping to create or manifest, if you like, this same dynamic that you keep finding yourself in. And the chances are it's something below the level of conscious awareness. If you could see this blind spot, if you had visibility of what it was that you were doing that was making this loop play out over and over again, of course you would change it. But the chances are it's happening beyond the level of your conscious awareness. So what do you do about that? How do you tackle it? Well, there are two ways you can tackle it. The first is you can look really deeply within yourself and take on an assumption of extreme responsibility. If there is something going on that you don't like, assume that you are responsible for it. I don't mean by that you should self-flagellate and blame yourself and, beat yourself up, but take responsibility for what you are experiencing, because that's where your power lies. So if you're willing to take responsibility, the next step is to look really deeply within and ask yourself, what is the lesson I'm not learning here? What is the sign that I'm being given that I'm not quite taking on? And the chances are that that sign or that lesson or that insight is going to be something uncomfortable. Because if it was easy, if it was palatable, you would have taken it on already, right? This stuff is difficult. And that's why our subconscious protects us by pushing this stuff to the side. So the courage to take responsibility, the courage to look really deeply at what this characteristic or trait or pattern might be that you are playing out, and look squarely at it and ask yourself, am I willing to make a change? That is one way you can tackle this. That's hard, and often we need someone else to hold the mirror up to us. We need someone who can help us see those things we can't currently see, who can hold a mirror up, who can shine a spotlight on those patterns, look at them through fresh eyes and see things that perhaps you can't see yourself. And maybe that's a close friend who's one of those friends you have that's willing to be straight and great with you, who's willing to give it to you without sugarcoating it, but with nurture and support and care, so that you can see something you couldn't see before. Or perhaps it is a coach or mentor or therapist, someone who is skilled and trained in spotting these patterns, joining up the dots for you and helping you release or develop whatever it is that's holding you stuck. So my invitation to you is, if you are feeling frustrated or stuck or like you're in this loop, seek out a conversation. I'm very willing to have that conversation with you, and I have trained members of my team who can also have that conversation with you if I'm not available. And we would happily do that for free with no expectation or obligation to help you see whatever it is that you haven't been able to see up until now. Because if there is this loop playing out that keeps you feeling dissatisfied, you're out of alignment somewhere, or there's something you can't see or you're not learning, that if you could see it and if you could learn it, would enable you to get back into alignment and feel good and not risk making another jump without having addressed whatever the root cause is of these jumps you've been making, leading you back into a version of the same thing you were experiencing before you jumped. I hope that makes sense. So look, reach out, give me a shout. Happy to spend an hour on the phone with you, doing a bit of a career strategy audit, really understanding where you're at, what you're experiencing, what you'd like to experience instead, and helping you lift the lid up on what it is that keeps you coming back round the loop and being in this frustrating experience of not quite shaking off the things that are making you feel frustrated and resentful and lead you back round to the same place. It's something that I'm very skilled at and have now supported many, many clients with to help them make a breakthrough to something new. So it would be my pleasure to support you. That is this week's Career Power Tip. It's getting deep. Yourself or with support, figure out what your blind spot is. If you're in that space of feeling a deja vu, an echo of frustration and resentment, like something that you want to shift in your career just isn't shifting for you, reach out. I'll drop a link below for you to be able to book a call if you would like to have a chat through what this is feeling like and have that spotlight shone underneath the surface that enables you to see something you couldn't see before, so that you can break through with new power and new responsibility and make that change. Have a great rest of your week. Good luck with your reflection and contemplation. Reach out if you need help. And don't forget to listen to my weekly radio show, Wednesdays at 10 a.m, Fridays at 1 p.m, Take Off with Coach Victoria, where I cover all manner of subjects on success, high performance, a life lived in fulfillment and at your best. So yes, there's also a radio show, as if this wasn't enough for you. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next Tuesday for more Career Power Tuesday tips with Dr. Victoria.